Hi everyone, this video is going to be a short introduction on how to cut glass for either a stained glass project or a mosaic project. So first I want to touch on the different materials you will use. This is a waffle grid. You are always going to cut your glass over this. You always want to dump this at the end of each use, and then you also want to wipe off your countertop with a wet paper towel because you don't want to get little glass shards. You always want to have safety glasses on when you're cutting glass or if you're near someone that is cutting glass. This tool is a glass cutter. It is difficult to see, but there is a small circular rotating blade in here. This is actually not going to cut the piece. It's going to score or scratch the piece and allow it to break. And then the final tools that you'll need, I have 3 different choices for breaking your glass or for actually snapping the piece. This is called a running pliers. This is, I actually don't know what these 2 are called, but these will also work as well. And I'll show you how to use all 3 of them. The important thing to know about this one is it has this little bead in there, and you want to make sure that you don't lose that. So now I'm going to cut out my design. I have my template. This is a very simple, just 2-part design. I've already gone ahead and cut it out just with the scissors. And then on my glass pieces, I figured out where it fits the best, and I traced it on using a Sharpie. So I have white for this piece, and then I have some blue over here. I wanted to allow the side of the glass to do a little work for me. So I have the straight edge here. So I just put that up against the glass. You also want to think about not wasting glass, and then where it's going to fit the best. You're going to need to make several cuts if you are doing a piece that is rounded like this, and so I wanted to set it up in an area where someone else would be able to use this, or I might use this piece later on. Now to cut this piece, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scoring tool. I think I called it a cutting tool before, but it's actually a scoring tool. Maybe you can see this a little bit better now. See that round blade on top? These heads, if the blade becomes loose or broken, we can replace those. And if you're noticing that when you're cutting, it's really starting to chip the glass, we can open this up. I might need to use a pliers, but we can open that up and put a few drops of a cutting oil inside. And so basically to use this, what we're gonna do is we are going to hold onto our glass. This is called a pistol grip scoring tool, and so it's like this. Some of them are gonna look like a pencil, but I would still hold them with my hand over the top. And then you are going to quite literally follow the line and score. Now, if I were doing a flat edge, I would be able to just make a straight line, okay? But this has a curve, so I need to think about how the glass will break. So I'm actually gonna do this in maybe like 3 cuts. I'm gonna go maybe 1 here, I'm gonna do 1 there, and 3, actually probably 4. Okay, so listen for this noise. Okay, so you heard that scratching noise, and what I did there is I ran my tool, I know it's hard to see, but I ran my tool along the edge. I pushed down. This has some flex to it, so you'll feel it push down. And then notice how I wasn't going back and forth like this. That doesn't do anything. You want it to be one line, so I did have to push down pretty hard. And then I carried it all the way to the edge of the glass. Now remember I said I was gonna do this in a couple of cuts, and so that is what I'm gonna do. I did not wanna just continue and try to trace this whole thing because the way that glass breaks, it would not have been successful. So I'll first show you how to use, actually I'm first gonna show you this one. So you take this little bead out here, and I'm gonna put that right there. And then the line that I need to cut is scored right here, and I want that to line up perfectly with the middle of that bead. I don't want that off to the side. I don't want it this way. I want it running straight up and down, so vertically, okay? Then I'm gonna take this contraption. I wish I knew the name for it, but I've drawn on these a line with Sharpie, and I'm going to put the line over the top of the line. It will not work, or most likely will not work, if I do it like this, perpendicular. They have to be parallel, one on top of each other. So I'm gonna do this, and then all I have to do is just push down just a little bit. Boom, there, and my glass breaks free, okay? Now I'm going to show you how to use the other two breaking tools, so you can test out which ones you like. And for bigger cuts, sometimes you might want to use that one. For smaller cuts, you might want to use a different one. So, okay, so now I'm going to score, and I'm going to make this score mark, because I can curve a little bit. I'm going to make this score mark maybe like that. So I have to start on the end, I have to push down, follow it all the way to the edge. Okay, now let's use the running pliers for this one. So these running pliers have this like rubber ends on them. If one of them breaks down, we do have replacements, or you can purchase replacements. I just get them on Amazon. It might be, again, difficult to see, but there is like a vertical line there. There's a line running this way, and it's the same concept as this. We want the line to go over the top of the line. And if you look at these pliers closely, it's kind of hard to see with the rubber ends on, but they have some curvature to them, some slight curvature to them, that's gonna allow the glass to break. So same thing, I'm gonna put this line over the top of this line. It's not gonna work if I go like this. I have to go like this. And this one, all I have to do is just snip. I just squeeze that very, very slightly, and then it breaks, okay? I ended up with a little nub here. I haven't showed you this yet, but these are called nipping tools, or nippers. So if I wanna get rid of that little piece, I can use my nipping tool just to kind of snip that off, okay? I'll make another video that shows you how to use a glass grinder, and we'll grind those edges off. For now, I'm gonna finish out my final cuts. And we'll see if it'll work with this. This is the same concept. I think this one works a little better for if you have bigger pieces of glass. This is a pretty small chunk I'm cutting off, but I'm gonna see if it'll work anyway. And it is the same concept as the other two, right? It has this vertical line on top. You just have to use your finger to put pressure on. So I'm gonna line up the line. So this vertical line goes along my score line. Again, it doesn't go perpendicular. It goes right on top of it. And then I have to push with my finger right behind it, and I have to press. Oh, there, and it worked. And that's always a little scary because you are using your finger, but I have done this a bunch of times and I've never cut myself. So now I have my two pieces of glass. They're cut, they fit together mostly, but when I look and see how they fit together, it's not perfect. I can see some air in between them, and we want to be pretty precise for stained glass. So once you get to this point, you are ready to move on to the next step, which is grinding.